Okay, let's cut to the chase on this one. The Joint Service Small Arms Program was brought about to put the 1911 out to pasture as it was getting a little long in the tooth and drag the U.S. kicking and screaming into compliance with NATO. And it had all the hallmarks of an American weapon selection program, including Colt whining and a pre-MMP Smith and Wesson trying to be a competent gun company. Truthfully, it was a two-horse race, but was the right choice made between the Beretta 92 and the Sig P226? Now, without a doubt, the 92 and the 226 have had storied careers and gained their detractors and champions. And on paper, they're not dramatically different aside from the locking system. The Beretta using a locking block system and the Sig using a derivative of the Browning linkless system. Both are 15-round double to single action systems, and while the Sig is slightly heavier by a couple of ounces, the Beretta is ever so slightly longer. By today's standards, they're pretty large and heavy for only being 15-round systems, but in the 40 years since the competition, we have gotten some bigger mags. That being said, 15 rounds was pretty good in 1985. Both had a safe decocking lever, but with the Beretta, the lever stayed down in a safe position. This appealed to the idiot officers doing the selection, just like the same idiot officers selected the XM7 as the next service weapon for the Army. I don't per se think the XM7 is a terrible system, it's just that the doctrine behind it is mind-numbingly stupid. But I digress. Idiot officers assume that soldiers are just as stupid as they are, and there are a few soldiers who bear that out to be true. Shooting differences between the 92 and the 226 are nuanced at best. The Beretta does have a better double action trigger, while the 226's single action trigger does edge it out slightly. The 226 also has a higher bore axis, something that people will fixate endlessly on forums, but I'd argue that if you have even the slightest grasp of recoil control fundamentals, it's meaningless. The Beretta does have a slightly smoother recoil impulse, but it's so minute I struggle to quantify it. In drills, I found myself leaning towards the Sig a little bit because with bill drills I could get tighter groups from it, but I could run the Beretta just slightly faster through them. Box target drills were no different with me chasing decimals, though I do think it was a little bit easier for me to load the Sig at speed. And failure drills really brought me nothing else different. Since I can run the Beretta a little bit faster, I have a tendency to get wild with it and drop shots, but let me be clear, that's a problem with me and not the Beretta. Now, choosing between the Beretta and the Sig was hard, but what isn't hard is choosing a holster. Actually, that's not true. There's a lot of great holster makers out there right now, but I've been trusting Eclipse holsters for a few years now, and I've got a discount code for you. Code UPSPIN will save you 5% on your entire order, but keep an eye out for their holiday sales where you can save even more. Link in the description. Both guns are plenty accurate. In fact, I've won my division at local matches with both several times over. That being said, few people are gravitating towards production division anymore. If you're trying to tease out which one's more accurate, then you're going to be chasing decimals to do that. .265. Reliability. Oh boy, this is where the comments are going to come in on this one. There are plenty of people who have been issued an M9 with the infamous Checkmate magazines that refuse to run. Now, as you're typing in your comments about that, I ask you to add something on there. On a scale of mouth-breathing cretin to municipal bus driver, what level of competency did your unit armor have? Now, I've had both of these long enough that I've swapped out recoil springs in them, and they've ran just fine. That being said, my SIG absolutely hates semi-wad cutters. When the trials were done in the mid-80s, it was almost impossible to tease out a clear winner. They both performed so very close to one another. Emotion plays a much bigger role in the public perception today. Objectively, with the data points they had back then, they went blow for blow with one another. But it was reportedly in a backroom deal that the Beretta edged out the SIG. One day, magically, the Beretta was coming in at a price under that of the SIG, and the Beretta became the M9. So do I think it was the right choice? Well, pistols in the military don't matter that much. They don't play a great role in the grand scheme of things. They're kind of like an AED. You ignore it until you need it, and when you need it, it needs to work 100%. And the Beretta worked. It had proven itself, and it was cheaper. Given the choice between directing more funds to other projects or, God forbid, saving the taxpayer some money, in that snapshot of time in 1985, I think the Beretta was the right choice. Now, of course, this choice came with all of the controversies that you would expect, including Colt whining endlessly, but everything after that is a story for another day. If you stuck around this long, I just want to say thank you. Go ahead and like and subscribe, as I've got a lot more content coming down the pipeline. Also, follow the link tree in the description for my socials. And while you're at it, leave a comment on your opinion about the Beretta 92.